All right. Well, we are live now in I would say, a steamy July day. All right. So, SEC Media Days comes and went. Um, I I don't know. Kirby got up there. He talked for 30 minutes to the media in the big room, and then I think like 14 minutes sitting down, and then did other interviews. I haven't seen all of the interviews yet. Um, Really, I don't know. SEC media days has uh it's changed for me. I guess I don't know if it has for you because I know the way you consume media is different than me. But you used to feel a lot bigger, much more of a circus atmosphere. That's not the feeling anymore, and it's I gotta tell you, kind of boring. Um,
Yeah, it's much more made for TV now. I
yeah,
guess I mean another way of saying it to me.
yeah, it's gotten really boring and you would think when Georgia's on, this is a minor complaint of mine for SEC Media Days, but when Georgia's up there, so you have Beck, you have Michael Williams, you have Malachi Starks
Right.
and Kirby. You would think that the 3 hours that they're there with the media for that block, they would just talk about Georgia stuff. But I was watching SEC Network; they were talking about fucking Vanderbilt. Which
Two Georgia players.
no, they were like in a segment they were talking about
I
Vanderbilt.
got you. Sorry. Yeah.
And it's
Okay.
like Vanderbilt shouldn't even get that much coverage, but it was brought up. But Kirby's, in the main room, 30 minutes. He talked about traveling for baseball and all that. And then, usually he has like a State of the Union, and it wasn't really a State of the Union like it was in 2023. I thought that one was probably one of the best media day speeches that he's given in a while. But this time, there's a new mantra: assume nothing. He took it from Nike and Phil Knight, which I think is a good slogan because it's very true, especially this season. Uh, I didn't really outside of that. I didn't take anything away from it, so I'm ready for football season. But go ahead and give us your assessment.
Um. Yeah, I don't get too enamored with that kind of stuff because, like I said, it to me it's all about made for TV type stuff and kind of boring because none of the coaches nor none of the players want to say anything really, right? To give
Right.
anybody any bulletin board or be a bad representative of the program or the university. So kind of buttoned up, but I thought all the guys that Kirby brought comported themselves well. Carson Beck, if he stays healthy, regardless of Heisman and all that kind of stuff, um, he's going to do really well. He is calm, cool, just like he plays. Calm, cool, collected. The best line is, "Yeah, I have a fast car, but I don't drive like an idiot," because they got obviously the questions totally anticipated, right? The culture around the driving and the reckless driving stuff and the arrests that was certainly brought up. No earth shattering news about what anybody said, right? And Kirby kind of defended the program and what they try to put together as a program as far as education and stuff like that. Um, and so that was as far as and then I think Malachi says we don't talk about winning championships, we just do it. Or I don't know, I may not have that quote
Right.
exactly right. So that was kind of cool. But the one thing that really caught my eye that you and I talked about, Kirby is very close to the vest about praising guys. He'll use the media and press conferences to maybe goad people a little bit, but whenever he's talking about a true freshman really standing out to him and making an impact, saying he's further ahead than Malachi Starks whenever he came in as a freshman, tells me a lot. And you and I went to go see the spring game, and he just looked like he belonged out there on the field. He didn't look. He
Yeah, you're
didn't.
talking about KJ Bolden.
Yeah, KJ Bolden. Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, that caught my attention. Obviously, he's just gone through spring, so we'll have to wait and see. But it sort of got my attention when Kirby starts singling out a true freshman as being a difference maker and being able to help him on defense and being further ahead than Malachi Stark. So that was my biggest takeaway. But other than that, the one other thing is I'm sure the players got tired of answering the question about Texas and Oklahoma coming into
I was about to mention that.
Yeah, I mean, geez, guys, we all know it. Can we hype it anymore? And why? I mean, what are they supposed to say about it? Welcome to the league. Kiss my ass. I don't know. It's just another game right now, right?
Yeah, I mean it's the same as you would be playing South. Well, I mean we're not on the same level, but it'd be like playing South Carolina or anything else. I don't. But nobody loves Texas more than Texas, and then the reporters. I mean, they're going to play in October, and here you are getting questions about them. I mean, there were more questions about Georgia and Texas than there were about Georgia and Alabama, which is crazy to me because one, they don't play till basically the midpoint of the season. And then two, you have the two teams that squared off in the SEC championship for evidently a place in the playoff spot. And they're going to play, it's going to be the first game on Saban Field at Bryant Denny Stadium. And it's the first SEC game with DeBoer. That's a huge game.
Sure it
And
is.
everyone just completely, the media over there completely ignored that matchup. That's a much more monumental game than Georgia, Texas.
It's the new shiny toy, from the talking heads. And so,
Yeah.
what'd you think about Saban? I thought it was interesting.
See, I've never really found Saban that like interesting when he speaks. I have to be honest with you. So there are some insights that he gave that were interesting, and I thought he did a fine job, but the amount of ass kissing that was done during the entire time, I mean, the entire time that Kirby got up there and basically just mooched him. I, whatever. Just whatever. I mean, I want to see how he deals with game day whenever he has to come to Athens and he gets booed. I don't. It'll be interesting to see how he handles that.
I think he'll handle it fine, is my guess. But a couple things that I thought about. Doesn't he still have an office like in Tuscaloosa and DeBoer?
So I was about to say that. Yeah, he does. And here's the thing. If I was any of the SEC coaches, and I think you're about to make this point, I wouldn't be telling Saban shit about my team.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Well,
to DeBoer.
It's just interesting to me that he is, and DeBoer's talking to him. I don't know. I don't know if he put a number on it, but he said that every chance I get, or something like that, when he was asked about it, how often he talks to Saban. Saban's in Tuscaloosa. I think he goes to. He probably can go to practice anytime he wants to.
Well,
Would
yeah,
you imagine?
sure. Yeah, I can.
So then he comes over to ESPN or SEC Network. SEC Network.
Well, he was on ESPN and SEC Network.
Anyway, to that family. And then, are we supposed to really believe that he's going to be objective? Maybe he will be, because he did say that Georgia and Texas are the two teams that are going to be playing in the Southeastern Championship. So maybe that's to fire up the team or something like that. But it's just an interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that's not. I mean, I don't give a shit, but I don't see how that's not a conflict. Number one, and number two, I'm with you. And when you get in season, yeah, I would. If I'm Kirby, I'll say shit to Saban, because I know where it's going. Right?
Yeah. There's no way I would be saying anything.
Yeah.
To your point, I don't know if I don't know if Saban goes to practices or anything, but when he picks Georgia and Texas, I think I think within logic, I think he's just being logical. So I think DeBoer, he might be a really good coach, and he might be, he might fill into Saban's shoes really well. But that to expect to win the SEC and to be in the playoff your first year is kind of, and especially the schedule that they have, I think that's kind of a lofty goal. I would think.
But well, I know we don't know what the Alabama fans, but if they don't do those things, I think there's going to be complete friggin' panic to our West. I
Maybe,
really do.
maybe, but I mean, if I was an Alabama fan, I guess this is a way to view it, but if I was an Alabama fan, I wouldn't expect that because it's the first year. Now, second year, I would definitely expect something, but the first year, I wouldn't expect anything.
But they're super talented, young, but super talented
Yeah,
still. They
they
got
have a ton of talent, and DeBoer so far, and I think we've talked about it a couple times. He's done a pretty good job with recruiting. Now, the key to all of that is retaining the commits. Um, so that's the important part. But we'll see. Also coming out of SEC Media Days, there are two things that I wanted to note. First on the reckless driving thing, the day before we talked about it, we didn't talk about it on air, but the day before Smile Mondon and Bo Hewley got arrested for reckless driving, the day before they had someone come in and talk to the team about it. Josh Pate talked about that. I don't know what you can do outside of doing that, unless you're going to kick a guy off the team, which they did with David Daniel.
right.
Now
Those,
he ran away from the police, which is a little bit of a different
yeah,
thing.
that's what I was about to say.
Bless his heart. But I mean, I don't know what else you can do. And so Kirby, and I finally saw the clip, by the way. I kept telling you I saw it in print, but I never saw it actually said. I finally saw it. It was with a media huddle. He talked about the Classic City Collective. It's not fine. Technically, they can't fine players, but they deduct payments if they're caught with or doing something with driving. It's a morality clause in their contract that they sign. So if the guys are getting deducted in their pay, they have people speaking. Kirby has thrown off a guy, and they keep
Makes them run, right?
yeah,
So
and definitely
disciplines.
internally punish because
Yeah.
Josh Pate talked about it. I'm pretty sure if you haven't seen it yet, go and watch Josh Pate talk about it because I think he was talking to somebody really close to making those decisions at the high level. I think he might have talked to Kirby, if we're just being honest between me, you, and these walls and the viewers at home. So what else could he possibly do? And he punishes them. They get fined. He's kicked off teams. He's had speakers come in. What could he do? There's nothing else the guy could do.
I don't know, but I know they do these skull sessions, right? And I have no idea. And I'm sure maybe they are doing it. I'm about to sneeze, so I apologize in advance. But anyway, I would see the team leaders and really sit down and have a heart to heart. And I'm sure he's done that. And like, really, what the heck is going on here? With it, excuse me. Now, what causes this? I mean, why is this like an acceptable thing, and why does it continuously happen? I don't know if there's something going on that is a under the radar cultural thing over there about racing and seeing who has the fastest car. I don't.
Well, I mean, I really don't want to get bogged down in this conversation because there's other things going on in the football world. But, I mean, it is a problem everywhere else in the country. It's not like just a unique Athens thing. Now, is it a major headline when Georgia players get arrested? Yeah. But also, Atlanta and a lot of the kids are from the metro Atlanta area. And, Atlanta's a big influence around everywhere in the state of Georgia. it is a street race. There's a huge street racing culture down there. I mean, if you ever turn on the local news and here in Atlanta,
I don't, but I do.
sometimes I do to get a good laugh.
Oh
And
my gosh, I can't watch
I
it. But
love
anyway,
I love watching local. I love watching WSB. It's maybe one of my favorite things to do, for comic reasons. But it's like every time I watch, there's always a street racing story where they, I'm sure people who are on social media have seen it, where they shut down entire streets and they're doing donuts and drag racing. So, and the cops have to get involved. I've seen people get hit by cars, like fly across the road. It's not that
oh my
funny.
God, I don't know anything about this, but
Really?
no, I don't have. I don't watch any
Yeah.
of that.
Also, you're old, but there's a huge culture with that. So, does it surprise me that a lot of these kids from the Metro Atlanta area are doing the same things that they were doing in high school when they come up to Athens? No. So I don't know. I don't know exactly what you do other than what Kirby's done.
Well, I don't know. All we can do. We're on the outside looking in. It's no. We love this program, and we hate to see negativity surrounding the program when so much is going right. With the program, it's just unfortunate. And I don't. Kirby and Kirby I trust, but at the same time, when you keep seeing this stuff, it is really. And plus, you have what happened with people losing their lives. You just hope
Yeah.
this stuff gets sorted out.
Yeah. Then that's, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a sycophant. I'll call out whenever you're wrong, especially whenever it comes to Georgia. I think we're both hyperly critical. But I just don't. Even if I was an opposing SEC fan base, I don't think I would be crying, "Oh my god, it's the worst thing ever." But whatever.
Yeah,
Let's just move on. Let's just, maybe if it was Florida, if we're being honest, maybe if it was Florida. All right. So the media voted for the SEC champion vote, which is really weird because I'm used to them just voting for the SEC title game, who's going to be there.
right.
Um, so we don't have that anymore, which is sad. Another tradition gone. That the deep state of college football is taken away from us. Georgia has gotten, I think there's only like a 218 votes or 219 votes. Georgia got 165 of those votes. And Texas was number 2 with 27. Alabama was 3 with 12. Ole Miss had 4. LSU had 2. South Carolina had 1. I don't know who's voting for that. And then Vanderbilt, obviously, I mean, it's Vanderbilt. They had 2 votes, which I totally understand. I know there's one guy in the media who says because he thinks it's a joke. He writes about Vanderbilt. He votes Vanderbilt every year, irregardless of what's going on. So, and I'm a big believer in the Commodores. I always will be. So I guess the takeaway is I think everyone believes that Georgia is head and shoulders above everybody in the conference. And then it's really I think it kind of fluctuates on what your view is of Texas. And me, I don't think Texas is going to be that. I think Texas will be fine. I don't think Texas is going to be what everyone, like the media, is trying to put them out to be. I don't think they're that good.
I don't know enough about. I know they got a quarterback coming back. I know, but I also know they lost a ton of talent. And to me, until I'm proven wrong, it's hard for me with Alabama having as much talent. I don't know anything about this DeBoer except that he's been successful everywhere he's been, right?
Yeah.
So football, like he said, football is football. I'm going to say Georgia and Alabama once again when all the dust settles. So that's my prediction. Not knowing. I just don't think Texas is going to be ready for the grind, the intense atmosphere, week after week after week, the depth that it takes to get through the college football season in the SEC. Hey, if I'm wrong, I'll come back on here and admit it, but I think they're going to really struggle with that.
Yeah. here's the other thing: offensive, defensive line, they lost a lot of talent,
Yeah.
and they don't have a lot of returning starters on this either side of the ball. So I think we're kind of overinflating Texas. I also think we're overinflating Missouri. So,
Why?
well, their schedule's super easy,
Yeah.
and they have Luther
Luther
Burden,
Burden, right?
right? Really good. I wish Georgia had him. And then you have Brady Cook, who's I think probably the second best quarterback in the SEC
He's good,
by
man.
quarterback. So they have two big stars, and they were really good last year. They were if we had a playoff, like a 12-team playoff, they would
I
definitely
agree. They
be
would
in
have
it,
been in it.
and
Yeah.
they would probably made it to the semifinals if I had a guess in this made up scenario. And they were really good. But here's the thing: they have all that talent that they had from last year is a lot of it's gone and went to the NFL, and that's a credit to Drinkowitz and the program because Missouri at one point was just a dead program after Pinkel left. So I think they've done a really good job. I think they're kind of going to take a step back this year. So, but
I'm a
people are
bigger
putting them in
believer.
the dark horse.
I'm a bigger believer in Missouri than you are, I would say.
Well,
But I don't know. I don't know. That's an interesting subject. I know it's way too early, but I think the SEC will have as many as 4 or maybe even 5 teams. I don't know how it's all going to work out, but I think there easily be 4 teams that make it in the college playoffs.
well, so I don't really. I guess I don't understand the playoff very well because I don't make a video about it. I know you really care a lot, but I played a season on NCAA or EA College Football 25. That's the official name. I played it, and I played a whole season, and I got to the playoffs. In the top 12 that were in the CFP rankings on the game were not the top 12 that made it into the playoffs. So I don't know how it's really going to work because in the video game, Alabama was in the top 12. Alabama was not in the playoff. So, and then
Interesting. I don't know that.
Tulane, who wasn't in the top 12, they were in the playoff. So I need someone to break it down to me like I'm 5 years old, really slowly, and explain this to me. Because if there is a world where Alabama doesn't get into the playoff and Tulane gets over them because they are a 2-loss conference champion in the
We've
American,
gone ass backwards to get to the
that
12
is
teams.
ridiculous. I don't know how you're going to do it.
I
But
hope
I
that's
agree.
not the case.
But again, the whole thing with this playoff, I'm gonna bash it. The whole thing with if you're a conference champion, you get an automatic bid, and then it's the rest of everyone, and then also the group of 5, whoever's the highest rated group of 5 gets a the fourth spot, or not a fourth spot, but a spot in the playoff. That is so stupid. I don't even know how to fix it because it's just dumb. It should be just the 12 best teams.
Let me ask a question. So, and I think I know the answer, or how else would you do this? Is there still like a committee like there has been that's going to make a final poll
Yeah.
after the championship games are
Yeah.
played?
Yes.
Hmm.
But here's the other thing too. I don't know. Like, let's say you have like Georgia comes in number 1 in the SEC championship, and then let's say, for argument's sake, Texas. Just take SEC Media Days pick. Texas, and let's say they lost to Georgia and they lost to somebody else. They either have 2 to 3 losses and they're ranked number 11 or 12.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say they lose again to Georgia. Does that mean that they're not in the playoff?
I would assume so
Why?
because they were ranked 11th and 12th, or right on the bubble, and
But
then
why playing
but
an
that's
extra
it.
game would take them out?
Hey, make that argument last year if we're going to keep.
Well, that's what I did. I
I
think
know,
that,
but so what's good for the goose is good for the gander. I would say, yeah.
yeah. Well, that's
Fuck
the
it.
problem. That's the problem. It's stupid. The whole thing is
Well, I
stupid.
don't know how you're going to get around it. If you've got I don't know. I don't. There needs to be a set of bylaws or some shit. I don't know what
I
the
think a
answer is.
conference championship shouldn't hurt you, or like it shouldn't hurt you. It should only help you.
Then I mean, which it may end up being anyway. It may turn out to be like the friggin' All-Star game, an exhibition.
I mean, that's essentially what these things are anyway. In the current day, as soon as they expand it, the perfect number would have been 8 and just sit on it, but they couldn't help themselves and they got greedy and they added 12. It's stupid. Also,
I don't think they're exhibit. I mean, I think the teams really fucking want to win.
well, of course, and Georgia cares. I mean, that's what Kirby. The goal is to win the SEC championship. It's what he said. But I mean, they are now going to become exhibition games. So whatever. I mean, there's money, and I don't know what they're going to do with it. But I'll tell you another thing that I don't like about the playoff. I'm being picky here. You have the quarterfinals at a neutral site, and then you have the semifinals on a neutral site, and that they're a week apart. You know how much travel that is for a team that's already played 13, 14 games?
It's becoming more and more of a professional sport. Right? They're getting paid, and it's got. I mean, you got to get on a plane and go across country. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. I mean, but the thing here's the thing: teams that have a lot of depth, teams that have quality depth, are going to end up just dominating the sport
That,
because they can throw bodies at it.
that's the reason that we were talking about that the blue chip players. That's the reason I think that's going to become an even more important statistic, not less. And I think to your point, the teams that have the money that can acquire these. That's what we're talking about. Acquire these blue chip players, build depth, get them. And that's the other thing we didn't talk about it, but Kirby made a point, and I think it was when him and Saban were both, talking on the podium with the other people. If you come to Georgia and you don't think you can play as a freshman, like they're really selling that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Getting that experience. So I think they understand that's the way to mitigate attrition.
Yeah.
It's becoming. I mean, it's a hell of a job being a college coach. I know we've talked about it, but yet you're exactly right. The TCUs of the world, the Tulanes, since you mentioned them,
No.
I just don't see how, if they're going to keep that same format, how they're going to look at themselves in the mirror. I'm talking about the committee and say, yeah, these are the 12 best teams. Clearly, they're not.
Not.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Before we dial it up, I had to look at the timer there. Let's talk about we're 42 days away as recording. We're recording this on Saturday. We're 42 days. Actually, well, yeah, game would already been kicked off, so we're exactly 42 days away from kickoff against Clemson. What do you think is, or what will be the biggest takeaway from that game?
Our offense is really good. Clemson and Dabo are going to be facing criticism because they're the only, besides the service academies, the only one that have not started to play ball in this new environment with the transfer portal and stuff like that. And I mean, I think Georgia's going to beat them pretty handedly. And
Really?
Yeah, I do.
So this is my thing. I think Clemson's going to be actually pretty good this year. I think Clemson's probably going to. I think they're going to win the ACC. I think it's going to be a lot closer because right now Georgia's like a 17-point favorite. which is high to me. Clemson's got a really good I think they got a good defense. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. I think probably when we're coming out of the game, I think it's going to be Clemson's better than everyone thinks, and Georgia's offense is really, really good, and they're for real.
I think part of that's going to be correct. The 17 points to me feels about right.
Well, if you're someone like you in your camp, I think the biggest concern for Clemson against Georgia would be the offensive line. So, and we saw it in Charlotte in 2021. DJ Ungamalea was there were crimes that the Georgia's defense did to him.
Yeah, there were several felonies.
Yeah, because that offensive line sucked. So I don't think Georgia's going to have that type of defense ever again. I pray to the heavens above that is the case. But I would, if Georgia does, come out and they play really good, I really want our defense to look good against the run and can get pressure on Kate Kubnik. I was about to say DJ Umalea, however the hell you pronounce his last name. So, we'll see. Go ahead.
No, this is my prediction. I don't think Georgia's defense is going to be as good as it was that year either. But I do think our fans are going to be a little surprised at our defensive backs. I think our secondary is going to be better than what people think, and I do believe we're going to be able to put a little bit more pressure on quarterbacks than we have in the years past. So I got high hopes that I'm not saying they won't hit an explosive play against us, and I'm just saying I think Georgia's defense will be just fine. Because I know Kirby and that staff and the talent they've got, they'll be ready to go. Is my guess.
So I wanted to, and we'll wrap it up with this. I did take away. I lied whenever I said I didn't take away anything, and you kind of brought it up with people being surprised about a lot of things, and we kind of touched on it with KJ Bolden. I haven't heard Kirby as relaxed as he has been. He was really relaxed at SEC Media Days. And the second thing is, I've never heard him talk about a locker room and spring practice the way that he has talked about it.
Only one of those. He had how many practices? He said only one of those would
practices.
Only one of those would I want to do over.
Right. And he said the locker room is a lot of fun. They really like each other. They all get along, and they want to compete every day. If the things that he's saying are true, Georgia's going to be a really, really, really good team. And I think just based on what he's saying, I'm kind of hopeful about how this team's going to look come August 31st.
Fingers crossed, no big injuries in camp. You always have to worry about just crazy stuff that happens.
ACLs, broken hands.
Yeah.
Nagging,
high ankle sprain, hamstrings that never get a chance to heal.
Yeah.
Things that take forever to heal, not to mention the season-ending injuries.
Yeah, and to the people that think that Kirby's just because of the, extended playoffs and all the games that Georgia's about to play, and he's going to take it off with practice. No, that's not what Kirby's going to do. They're going to still be physical practices. So
I was surprised. I know I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but did you hear that it was I forgot who it was. It may have been DeBoer talking about basically because the season's longer, they don't practice they're not going to be as physical in their practices. I heard that my ears kind of perked up. We'll see. I'm not 100%. It was DeBoer, but somebody said that because of the longer season. More games they're going to have to play. They're not going to be as physical.
Yeah, well, there's two ways to look at it, and I'm kind of on the side of put the guys in bubble wrap because there's a war of nutrition. But obviously, Kirby doesn't see it that way. All right. So I think we'll end on that note. Check out Terminus Sports ATL on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok. We're really big on TikTok. So give us a follow there. Also, it's on Blogspot, Terminus Sports ATL at blogspot.com. And then please like, subscribe, comment. You can tell us that we're terrible. Tell us that we're just the worst people on earth. That's completely fine. And then remember to subscribe. Subscribe. There will be more content that comes out. More of these, probably in a shorter format than this, because we'll be doing more videos. And then also our presenting sponsor, Unishippers Atlanta. Tell us about them.
All your small business shipping needs, anything from your parcel, like your FedEx, your UPS, your USPS, all the way up to your less than truckload and your full truckload shipping pallets, things of that nature. We can help you out, and if you think we can benefit you in some way, feel free to reach out and mark us scores. Unishippers Atlanta.
All right. Well, we'll see you next week, and hopefully nothing crazy happens. See you on the other side.
All right. See ya.